The mistake young professionals make in Atlanta isn't picking the wrong suburb. It's knowing the loan programs that actually fit their situation. And that one gap between where you want to live and what you actually qualify for is costing people real money every single month. I'm going to talk about Smyrna today, and I know what some of you may be thinking. You're thinking Smyrna is that place that people settle for when they can't afford Buckhead or Midtown. Well, that's the wrong frame entirely. Smyrna is not a consolation prize. For dual income buyers who actually run the numbers, it's the most deliberate real estate decision you can make in Metro Atlanta right now. Let me show you why. So let's start with the market itself, because the data here is worth understanding before we get into the financing piece. The average home value in Smyrna right now sits at $450,207. The median list price is right around $455,000. And homes are going pending somewhere between 38 and 49 days. That's not a slow market. That's a market with enough inventory to give buyers time to think, run the numbers, and make a real decision, which is different from what's happening in some of the in-town zip codes where you're writing offers in 48 hours with no contingencies and still losing. But here's the part people miss about Smyrna location. You've got Cumberland right there, one of the biggest commercial business hubs in the entire state of Georgia. Truist Park is literally in your backyard. The Silver Comet Trail gives you 61 miles of paved trail access if you're a runner, a cyclist, or just someone who wants to decompress after work without sitting in traffic. And you're about 15 to 20 minutes from Buckhead on a good day. The last part matters more than people realize, and I'm going to come back to that here in just a second. Now, let's talk about the loan programs most buyers in this price range have never heard of. Number one, Georgia Dream Peach Plus. If you're a first-time buyer or haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, and you're looking at something in the $400,000 to $600,000 range in Smyrna, this program was essentially designed for your situation. Here's what it actually does. The purchase price is limited on Peach Plus to $650,000. That ceiling covers the vast majority of Smyrna's active inventory without you having to compromise on the property. The household income limit goes up to $195,435. That's the number that changes everything for dual income professional couples in Atlanta. Most down payment assistance programs have income caps that knock out anyone with 2 decent salaries. Peach Plus doesn't do that. If you and your partner are both working, both earning, and you've been told you make too much for assistance program, you need to look at this again. The down payment assistance through Peach Plus is deferred. That means no monthly payment on the assistance amount. It doesn't hit your debt to income ratio the same way a second mortgage payment would. It sits there until you sell or refinance, and it gets you into the property without draining your savings account to zero on closing day. I talk to buyers all the time who have solid income, strong credit, good jobs, and they've been sitting on the sidelines because they think they need to save up a full 20% down payment before they can move. That's not how it works. And in a market where home values in Smyrna have been climbing consistently, every month you wait is a month of appreciation you're not capturing. Which brings me to the investment argument, because I want to address something directly. There's a persistent idea out there that the suburb towns are weak investments. You're better off renting in Midtown than buying a townhome in Smyrna. I disagree with that strongly, and here's why. The appreciation story in Smyrna over the last several years has been driven by a very specific buyer pool. Younger dual income households who got priced out of Inman Park, Virginia Highlands, the old Fourth Ward. When those buyers can't afford $700,000 for a bungalow that needs a new roof, they move their search parameter out. And when they move it out, they land in Smyrna. That consistent demand pressure from a financially qualified, income-stable buyer pool is what drives appreciation in the suburb market. This isn't speculation. It's what happens when in-town prices keep climbing and the next ring of suburbs offer legitimate quality of life trade-off. More square footage, lower price per square foot, access to major employment corridors, and lifestyle amenities that weren't there 10 years ago. Smyrna has changed. The Battery area around Truist Park alone has reshaped what the whole corridor feels like. Restaurants, entertainment, walkability. That's not a suburban townhome market from 2005. That's a different product altogether, and buyers who recognize that early tend to be the ones who look smart in 5 years. Now, let me talk about the search behavior I'm seeing, because this is where the opportunity actually lives. There's a significant group of buyers actively searching right now who have a very specific set of requirements. They need to be within reasonable commuting distance of Buckhead and Midtown. They want more square footage than in-town products offer at their budget. And they want their monthly payment to make sense relative to what they're earning. Smyrna checks all 3 boxes. If your office is in Buckhead, you're looking at a 15 to 20 minute drive depending upon when you leave. That's workable. If you're hybrid and you're going in 2 or 3 days a week, it's almost irrelevant. And when you compare the $450,000 buys in Smyrna versus what it buys you inside the perimeter, the square footage difference is significant. We're talking about the difference between 1,100 square feet in a condo with an HOA fee stacking on top of it versus a townhome or single family home with a garage, a real kitchen, and room to actually live. That trade-off is why people are making this move. And the ones doing it with the right financing are the ones building equity from day one instead of writing rent checks for another 2 years while they wait for some perfect moment that doesn't exist or will never come. Let me bring this back to the financing piece one more time because I want to make sure this lands. The Georgia Dream Peach Plus program works within conforming loan limits. That's important because it keeps your interest rate in a competitive range. You're not going into the jumbo territory. You're not paying a premium rate because the loan size crossed a threshold. The math on a $450,000 purchase with Peach Plus assistance at current conforming rates pencils out in a way a lot of buyers would be surprised when they actually see the payment. I run these numbers with clients regularly, and the reaction I get most often is some version of, "Why didn't anybody tell me this program existed?" And that's a fair question. The honest answer is that most loan officers don't specialize in these loan programs. They know the conventional loan products, they know FHA, they know VA if they work with military buyers, and that's where their knowledge stops. Peach Plus requires you to work with a lender who approves through the Georgia Dream and who actually understands how the deferred assistance integrates with your overall loan structure. So here's what I want you to take from this video. If you're a young professional in Atlanta or a couple with 2 incomes and you've been looking at in-town options and feeling like the math doesn't work, Smyrna deserves a real look. Not a passing glance, a real look at the actual numbers on paper. The market dynamics are favorable. The location works for major employment corridors, the appreciation story backed by real demand from a real buyer pool, and the Georgia Dream Peach Plus program was built for exactly the income profile and price point that Smyrna's inventory sits in. The buyers who figure this out in 2026 are going to be the ones talking about their Smyrna purchase the way people talked about buying an Inman Park 12 years ago. The ones who wait are going to be asking why they didn't move sooner. If you want to see what your actual numbers look like with the Peach Plus on a Smyrna purchase, drop a comment below or reach out directly. I'll show you the payment, the assistance amount, and what you need to bring to the closing table. So you're making this decision with real information instead of assumptions. And if you're a real estate agent watching this who works with first-time buyers in Cobb County, share this with your clients. They need to know this program exists before they talk themselves out of a purchase that actually works. One thing I'll leave you with, the loan program doesn't make the decision for you, but not knowing it exists definitely makes that decision for you. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. I cover Atlanta market strategy, loan programs, and the actual math behind buying in this market without all the fluff, and that is guaranteed.